Greetings and welcome to our series of weekly devotionals. This week we're taking a look at selected verses in Psalms 42 and 43 and offering some thoughts for reflection and meditation. A couple of years ago, I remember I was working on a sermon idea in my head, and I was kind of pacing around in my kitchen, and my wife was walking up the porch steps to the front door, and she comes in the front door and she says, "Were you talking to yourself?" And I said, yes, I was talking to myself. It's kind of what I do often to try to kind of work out ideas in my head. I think my wife sort of thought I was a little bit nuts, but she might think that for several other reasons as well. So I have mentioned this because in Psalms 42 and 43, the psalmist is pretty much throughout these psalms talking to himself or herself. Why are you cast down, O my soul? And why are you disquieted within me? The psalmist is pretty much carrying on a running kind of dialogue conversation with himself or herself throughout these psalms. And scholars suggest, though, that there is a reason for this. The psalmist is not having some issues with himself or herself, but there is actually a reason for this internal dialogue going on. I remember a scene from another favorite movie of mine, Good Will Hunting, which came out in the 90s, I think. And it stars Matt Damon as this guy working as a janitor at MIT and or Harvard or one of those Ivy League institutions. He's a janitor, but he's actually a mathematical genius. And the professors at the college discover this, and they want to tap into his brilliance, his genius, but he's very closed off and sheltered and shut off from others because of childhood trauma and abuse that he suffered. And so he's sort of this impenetrable character. And a psychologist played by Robin Williams sets out to sort of break through this impenetrable shell. And towards the end of the movie, they kind of have this breakthrough where Robin Williams says repeatedly over and over again, "It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault," referring to the childhood abuse and trauma. And at the point that Matt Damon's character finally is able to name and sort of express and reveal, yes, it's not my fault. When he names that hurt and is able to kind of bring it up to the forefront of his consciousness and kind of process it, he breaks down, but it's the beginning of him being able to open up and become kind of more of the person he needs to be, move toward healing. And I think that's the process that the psalmist is going through. Scholars suggest that this internal dialogue, this talking to oneself, is a way of processing the struggle, the crisis, the trauma, as a way of moving forward, moving toward healing. There's a saying, and I don't remember where I read it. First comes revealing, and then comes healing, or revealing leads to healing. But I think that is so true. When we're able to name and express some of the things we're going through, it's a way of processing them and moving forward. And indeed, the psalmist writes later on in the psalm, "Then I will go to the altar of God, to God my exceeding joy, and I will praise you with the harp, O God, my God." The psalmist is moving towards healing, moving forward past this crisis, this time of struggle. And I think, that kind of internal dialogue, talking to oneself, processing, is really a way of prayer. It's a way of praying with God, letting God in, and hopefully opening ourselves up to healing and to moving forward. So my thought for today is, talk to yourself. It's okay. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be ashamed. It's a pretty great way of praying, actually. So if you need to talk to yourself, go for it. Amen.